Because if you've watched the news at all this week, the Middle East is blowing up. This is really an important picture here, just kind of for you to get. That little teeny blue dot there, if you can even see it on the screen, I don't know if you can, is Israel. And they live in a really tough neighborhood. Ethnic Israel is regathering to the land. The Bible tells us that because of their sin, that they were dispersed among the nations. But that in the last days, God would regather them and they would become a nation again. And that's exactly what's happened. 1948, they became a nation, became the state of Israel. And Jews from around the world literally are coming back to the land. This should not surprise us. God prophesied it. It's happened in our lifetime and your parents' lifetime. And it's amazing. But here's the deal. That creates a conflict. Why? Because Satan hates God. He hates his promises. And God, he's always trying to thwart God's plan, which is to eradicate ethnic Israel. Why? Because through ethnic Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we would have the Bible, we would have the Messiah, and that God has a future place for them. And so these darker green section here is the Arab League, and they're pulling all their resources to destroy Israel. And so when you see things today, in the news and stuff that's going on, my friends, you can't understand this. You are on the stream. If you haven't read through the Old Testament, you need to, because the only way you'll understand what's happening here is by reading the Old Testament. There's a God in heaven who's holy. He's got a plan for our redemption. Satan is opposing him, and God's going to work through Israel, going to work through the promised land. There's going to be things that happen here, and he does everything he can to destroy it. It's the most contested piece of property in the world. And here's the secret. There's one solution when you read the Bible. One solution. In fact, I can boil it down to one word: Jesus. Because today there are churches made up of Jew and Gentile that are worshiping Jesus. They did last night, and they're doing it because what part of the world they're in. They're worshiping Jesus together, and they're praising him. How do you bring these people that are so far apart, divided, how do you bring them together? One person can bring us together. His name is Jesus. Jesus reconciles us to God, and he reconciles us to one another. And here's the real secret. All of the governments of the world who say they want peace, and all the presidents of the past who have tried to broker deals and all these different things, all of them are going to end in futility. Why? Because when the Prince of Peace, Jesus, shows up, he's the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and he's going to show that he's the only one that can bring peace in the Middle East. So it always brings us back to Jesus. We need to pray. We need to be praying for as much peace and stability as possible in the midst of all of the confusion. And we need to pray for the Christians that are there, because you know what? They're hated by everybody in the middle, on both sides. They're in the middle, and they're hated on all sides.